Hi, I'm Erin
Hi,
Leto from the Witch of Saturn, and here with my good friend Jamie Sawyer.
I'm Sawyer, and I am a deck creator and just a creator. So
Creatrix, I love that
creatrix. Yes,
title.
yes, yes.
So today we're back to continue talking about our collab with our birth chart casting spread sticker.
Mhm.
And this time we got some feedback from our last video that maybe sometimes when I talk about astrology, it's like Jamie's always good at helping me with this. Remember that not everyone speaks that language. So I thought today we would really just break it down in a more simplified way for people who maybe have absolutely no idea what they're looking at when we pull up a birth chart, or people who don't know what a casting sticker is. Like, let's
Mhm.
just really break down the basics.
Bringing it back to the basics. I mean,
Always.
we got it. I have on my iPad, actually not on this one because it's a new one, but I have start where you are, so we got to start at the beginning. And yeah, so let's
That's
get to this collab.
always good to do. So,
Hmm.
can you explain in very basic terms what
Hmm.
is a casting sticker? Because this is something that's very
Hmm.
unique to you. You
Hmm.
created this.
Hmm.
People might not, unless they follow you, might not be familiar with what that is.
So I guess, my brain was like, well, I didn't create it, but I did create it. I'm not the first person to use a backdrop behind a tarot spread, right?
Correct.
So the casting stickers are kind of like, to me, they're stages. They're like another layer that can be part of the reading. So it's actually funny because this is my current project that I'm working on is about the casting stages. They're casting stickers because they're stickers and they go in a book. And like I have like my book here that has like, you know, all of said stickers in said book.
So
And
you could think about it kind of like a spread cloth, but
yes,
one that has an actual like card positions.
it's an interactive, like if you could do like a choose your own adventure tarot spread kind of thing, that's what it is. And so a casting sticker has an image. This week's reading, I did the Ravens for this week's thing. And if you're on my YouTube, you can go and look at my most recent Tuesday spread, and that one will have the Ravens. So what happens is the sticker sets the stage. The reason that they started for me was I love the idea of ritual, right? Like I love the witchy aesthetic and the vibes and the candles and the incense. I don't got time for that. My brain is like, bullshit, you're not going to do it. And if I don't do it, then I won't show up to my practice. So the casting stage is a pre-cast circle or thing that my brain knows when I show up. So this was this week's thing. And then if you look
Gosh, that looks
closely,
so beautiful. Yeah, I didn't see that one. I love that one.
it's in your pack. Um, so there's the card positions, and all my new ones come with like a printout of the spread that I'm using for it. But for me, the casting stages started, or the stickers started. They used to be just engraved boards, but then I realized that's really heavy if you have like 10 of them. So I was like, I like functionality. I like things I can carry with me. So my husband and I have this huge vinyl printing business. Hey, can you make me a sticker? So this is the evolution of it. And for me, it's a precast, preset, intentional space that I can show up and say, okay, I'm going to sling some cards. And the casting comes from the fact that usually for me, I'm using multiple systems. So I'll be doing tarot with Lenormand. And since we make tarot tiles, I like to use the things that we create because I want you to see them in action.
Mhm.
Um, and that's basically the super abridged version of it, but it's because I want to be able to show up to my practice without having to get the incense, get the candles, get the quiet time either, because it can just be like my brain already knows this is it. This is my meal prep to tarot casting, to tarot practice. And it's helped me stay vigilant in my own journey with it. If you like candles and incense, which I do love, I just to me, I have to plan. Like if I'm going to do a candle spell, I'm like, okay, I got to do it then. I'm very much, I want to do it now. So that's where the stickers come in.
I love that. It's kind of
Hmm.
like the table's already set
Yes.
with the tablecloth and
Hmm.
all, you
And then
know.
it becomes another layer because the background, since I'm an artist, I really love to, I'm never going to stop creating no matter how much my body is trying to take me out. I'm never going to stop creating. And so like a raven sticker in the background is like a huge oracle card. And
Yeah.
you're already like, hey, ravens, and then whatever they mean to you kind of pop up like boop, 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 boop. For me, it's like I grew up watching The Crow. I grew up, and then there's like all the Halloweeny movies, and then there's Edgar Allan Poe, and like my brain already knows what the ravens are going to bring. So that invites in that energy. If I'm using flowers, it's going to be a much
Different.
springier feel. Yeah,
Yeah.
so
The whole
it's
vibe.
I used to say it's like creating a space. Like if you go into a library,
Hmm.
you're not going to bring the same energy into a library as you are going to bring into a nightclub. And
Hmm.
so each sticker, each stage, each backdrop brings in a different like building that you're going into. So like the tarot houses, which we're discussing in this series, invites us into exploring our natal charts and
Yes.
exploring that aspect of it. So
So
it's set that stage.
is that what prompted you to create a casting sticker for your birth chart originally?
Yeah, everything that I create is because I want to learn more about it, basically. So if I'm drawing a natal chart or, some sticker that's going to go like that, it's so that I can visually see because I'm a very visual learner, so I can visually see how things are laid out. And it's just one step closer of kind of trying to figure it out, even though I know it's not going to be like an instant thing. And
Yeah, it's
then
a
this
framework.
particular, right, it's framework. This particular sticker has the four tarot suits because I wanted tile energy. So it's like on the basic level, you could literally just use it as a touchstone to check in with yourself. Like the
Yeah.
center, and then if you want to go deeper, that's when Erin will start explaining. But for me, it's like, okay, what energy am I feeling would be like the center card. And then the tiles, or you can even use cards in the corners, is like checking in with the suit of swords, which is our mental state. Then we've got the cups, which would be our emotions. The wands would be like our passions, the actions that we wish to take. And then the pentacles would be like our home life, our finances. So it's just little touchstones to check in. So it's like everything I learn somehow makes its way into my practice in some way, shape, or form.
It actually reminds me of this piece of advice that I got in the astro herbalism course that continue to study because I kind of like started and I start and stop with it a little. But it was just to like start growing the herbs and spend time with them. And I've done that and I've learned so much about just how the plants grow just from observing and not really like engaging with it more past that. And I think that just by intentionally spending time or sitting with your birth chart, there is
Mhm.
something to, like you said, it does bring in that energy of who you are and touching in with yourself, even if you don't know anything about astrology or even like really what you're looking at, which hopefully by the end of this video
Or the series.
yeah. Well, even hopefully by this video, I want people to leave with an understanding of what they're looking at. This is
Mhm.
how I begin, and I'm going to go ahead and share my screen to start getting into that. Because this is what, even if someone comes to me for a birth chart reading and has had an astrology reading before, I still go over this information because I don't know if it was explained to them or what they really grasp. Or
Right.
sometimes, even if you've learned something, you hear someone else explain it a certain way and it lands differently.
Yeah.
So I just want people, all of my clients or anyone who comes to me to learn astrology um to know kind of like my thoughts
Mhm.
on what it is that they're looking at. And so I had Jamie make this particular sticker, an image for me specifically to discuss this. So this is not the image of the casting
What you would get.
sticker
Mhm.
that you are selling in your shop.
Mhm.
This is just a visual aid. Everything would be the same except for the background, and we'll show that a little bit later. But I asked Jamie to create this line, right, where
Mhm.
you can see above the chart and below the chart as night and day. And so that's just a really basic way to understand what the ascendant is. So
Mhm.
I'm just going to back up even more and say that, this center piece here of the sticker, just disregard all of the tarot cards for now. We're just looking at this center part, which is the birth chart. Like, what the heck is that, right? You could think about it as a blueprint of the sky at the exact moment and place of your birth. When you came into the world and took your first breath, it would be like taking a Polaroid picture of the universe, the solar system
Mhm.
above you at that moment. And that's the energy that we come into the world with and work with, whether we know it or not, our entire lives. So you
Mhm.
could imagine yourself right at the center of the chart. And
Right where those axes is.
yeah, like right smack dab in the
Mhm.
middle. And then
Mhm.
that's the sky above and around you. So the reason why birth time is so important is because it sets the ascendant. Okay, so in this chart, the ascendant is at 26 degrees of Scorpio,
Mhm.
which means that at this time of birth, 28
Mhm.
degrees, 26 degrees of Scorpio was the part of the sky that was coming up over the eastern horizon.
Mhm.
And you could see that differentiated here where this line is between night and day. We see that the sun, this was around 6 p.m. So the sun
Mhm.
is about to set. It's about to go down into this night
Now that it,
realm.
I'm going to ask a question, and I don't know if it's even relevant or if it makes sense. Because I was born on the West Coast, but this, where I was born, they do not partake in daylight savings time. They're one of the few states that does not. I mean, I
When
know the
you
time period is still fine as far as the chart
The
goes, but
beauty of technology is that all of that calculates for
Mhm.
you when you use an astrology software um, like Astro Gold or
Mhm.
Solar Fire, or even if
Mhm.
you use a free chart generator like astro.com, you don't have
Mhm.
to, you can just really go by your birth
Time, and
information
it already
and it
does the
will,
calculations. Yeah.
yeah, we don't have to think too hard about that kind of stuff
Yeah.
anymore, which is very
Phew.
nice. Yeah. So
Right, because
basically,
I'm like, uh,
that's right.
Mhm.
So basically, you can think about with the chart that there's this line from the ascendant to the descendant right across your chart
Mhm.
that separates everything above that line is the day, and everything
Mhm.
below that line is the night. Now, if you
Mhm.
were born at night, that gets flipped, and
Like
you can
you,
tell
like
if you're
yours is.
born
Yeah.
You can tell if
Mhm.
you're born during the day or at night by whether the sun is above the ascendant line or below
Mhm.
the ascendant line. So basically, when you look at
Okay.
your chart, you're looking at
Mhm.
the angles, which are the ascendant and the descendant. You're
Mhm.
rising. This is where the sun rises and where the sun
Mhm.
sets. Your
Mhm.
midheaven is considered the highest point of your chart. This would be when the sun is at its peak in the
Mhm.
sky at like high noon, right?
Mhm.
And then across from the midheaven is the IC, the very bottom of the chart. And this could
Mhm.
be considered the darkest part of the chart, like midnight.
Mhm.
And just by understanding those things, you can
Mhm.
understand a lot about yourself and who you are. Your rising is your perspective, it's the filter
Mhm.
and the lens through which you see the world and other people see you. So it is that rising, how you rise into the world,
Mhm.
right? The descendant is that setting point where the
Mhm.
sun then merges with the
Mhm.
earth once again. And that is your relationships with other people where you merge with each other. The ascendant, just to go back to that, is also
Mhm.
this point where heaven and earth meet, where spirit and the physical body come together as one. So it's that breath in that we take, our first breath as babies being born when we leave our mother,
Mhm.
that brings that life into the physical body. So you could see the ascendant and the descendant as these two opposite points of merging, right? Where in the first house, in the ascendant, we our spirit merges with our own body. And with the seventh house in the descendant, we merge
Mhm.
with someone else. Okay, so
Okay.
those are, does that make sense?
I remember somebody once had said, and I can't remember who it was, or if it was in a book or whatever. For me, it was like your ascendant is me, and
Hmm.
your descendant would be not me. So it's
Yeah,
almost like the other people, which is funny for me
yeah,
because my sun sign is literally not me. And people who first meet me never assume I'm a Gemini until they get to know me
yeah.
because I'm very like quiet, like I'm very like
Scorpio.
Scorpio. But then when you get to know me, you can't shut me up. So it's like,
So it's just a little more hidden.
yeah.
So that's the first angle of your chart, the first bone, right? The ascendant and the
Mhm.
descendant, the first two. And then the midheaven and the IC, the midheaven is the highest point of your chart. So this is who you are out in the world. It's who you are, your career. It's how other people, your reputation, how other people see you. And then your IC is who you are when you go home. It's your ancestry, it's your family, it's the things that aren't in plain view out
Mhm.
in the world, but that you can kind of like retreat in your inner self. So those are the angles of your chart. Then you would consider the signs, the planets that are in the signs, and the houses, and
Mhm.
the aspects that the planets are making to each other. What does all that mean? Well, the ascendant, your rising, is always going to set the houses. It's always going to
Mhm.
be your first house is your ascendant.
Mhm.
So we see that here with Scorpio, and I use a whole sign house system. So wherever your
Mhm.
ascendant is, whether it's at 0 degrees of Scorpio or down here at 26, your first house would be in Scorpio.
Scorpio. Yeah.
And then from there, the houses are set in motion. So then
Mhm.
Sagittarius becomes the second house, Capricorn
Mhm.
becomes the third, Aquarius becomes the fourth, and so on, all the way around the wheel. So we
Mhm.
see the full zodiac here with the signs from whatever starts the first house all the way around the wheel.
Mhm.
And then when we're looking at this chart, we would look at the planets that are in the signs. So we
Mhm.
can see that here's the sun over here in Gemini, that Jupiter is also there. Here's Saturn up in Leo.
Mhm.
So we have Pluto in Libra. So we look for the little glyphs to show
Mhm.
us what's what. Here's
Mhm.
Neptune. So you do have to have a cheat sheet, right? Of this is what this glyph looks like, and it means
And
this planet. This
a
is what
simple internet search will give you a cheat sheet. They're everywhere.
it's just a good
Yeah.
thing to just familiarize yourself
Yeah.
with. Or if you print your chart from astro.com, you'll get
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
broken down. So here we're looking at the planets in the signs and then which
Mhm.
house they reside in. So you could think about the planets as speaking of like setting a stage, right?
Mhm.
That the planets are the actors, they are doing things, right?
Mhm.
They are, the moon is our internal realm, it's our
Mhm.
emotional self, it's our subjective reality and how we feel, it's our intuition, it's our whole internal world. The
Mhm.
sun is our personality, it's how we show up as leaders, it's what lights us up and makes
Mhm.
us shine.
Mhm.
Mercury is our mind and communication and how we learn and how we speak and think. So each planet has its own
Mhm.
significations of what it does. Then you look at that planet in a particular sign, and that's kind of the filter through which,
Mhm.
or the the costume
Mhm.
through which that planet is going to then show up and interact. And then the house that it's
Mhm.
in would be the stage that it's on,
Mhm.
right? Does all of that kind of make
It
sense?
it absolutely does, because it would be like if I'm most comfortable in Scorpio with my moon in the way I feel, I'm gonna have a really hard time when my moon is, say, in like, I don't know, what would be some like almost, I want to say Gemini, but not even, like being able to, like, I have a hard time being in the spotlight, which is
Yes.
really weird considering I am in a spotlight position. I'm not comfortable in it,
Hmm. And that's
and it's
And that's because the moon is in fall in Scorpio too. So
okay.
it's just like it's not a comfortable place for the moon to be in to begin
That's
with.
all I've ever known.
Yeah, but that's all you've ever known. That's the thing. When
Yeah.
people should never be afraid of the challenging parts of
Hmm.
their chart or things that are considered like to be in detriment or more
Right.
difficult. Because
It's like, it's almost like the words that they put on it are the wrong terms.
yeah, you have to get over
Mhm.
that. You have
Yeah,
to get
like,
over that
because we hear fall and we hear detriment, and we know by default that those aren't good
that's
aspects,
bad.
but it's
And
like,
it's not bad. It's
yeah.
just it's an energy that your whole
Mhm.
life you've already learned
Yeah.
to deal with, and it's just an innate part of who you
Or
are. And
it's how do you not be who you are?
that
Like, oh, I'm in fall, so I'm just gonna give up. No, it's, you get
you just
through.
you naturally learn to work with
Yeah.
that energy and it becomes second nature. And those
Mhm.
more challenging aspects are also the things that you learn the most from through your
Yeah.
life. So nothing in the chart is bad.
Mhm.
There's
Right.
there's nobody's chart that is like
Good or bad.
messed
Yeah.
up or there's no bad charts. So we can get a lot of information just
Mhm.
knowing the planets in the signs.
Yeah.
Houses then show which areas of life these energies are showing up in.
What's really funny, and from just learning through you and just learning like the synchronicities. Like once you start to learn about your aspects a little bit, and like Erin's been helping me with this. I remember the first time she did a reading for me, it blew me away. But like with the midheaven, and with my midheaven literally being the sun, like the deacon, the sun is in Virgo. And I didn't know that when I made myself the Eight of Pentacles, but that's literally the Eight of Pentacles.
Yeah.
And so that's literally the highest point of my chart. And it makes so much sense that like my career in the tattoo industry started with apprenticeship. I'm always prototyping. That's when I'm my most happy, comfortable self out in the world.
Yeah.
It was almost like when I found out, like deer, obviously, if you've been in my orbit for a iota of a minute, you know that deer are my animal. And then when I started to like research like animal totems and like, indigenous people's like birth charts, like my birth animal is literally a female deer. It's not a buck, it's a
Yeah.
female deer.
Yeah, so it's just like things that we innately know about ourselves.
Hmm.
That's one of the reasons that I love astrology so much is that it's so validating. It
Yeah.
validates exactly who we are, why we are that way,
Mhm.
and then we can say like, okay, this is the energy that I'm working with, and what's the best way for me to really
Mhm.
reclaim that if it's something that's been difficult to like accept for
Mhm.
yourself, or to just be like, it's empowering to
Yeah.
say, oh, okay, it's literally written in the stars that I am this way. And what's the best way that I can work with that instead of fighting against it?
Right. It's like somebody once had said, and I don't even know if it was you, but like a lot of astrologers say, this is like your owner's manual. So when
Yeah,
something's wrong with your car or a piece of machinery or something that you get and something's malfunctioning, you don't just go, well, that's how it is now. You check the owner's manual to figure out how to fix it or how to best address the issue.
that's a great analogy for sure.
Yeah.
So then we
Mhm.
have these lines in the center that are typically red and blue, although there are some other colors that are in there
Mhm.
sometimes. And those show what are called aspects. And these are based on, they're mathematical. A
Mhm.
square is a 90-degree angle and opposition is 180 degrees. And what it does is it shows the way that the planets are communicating and
Mhm.
talking to one another, the energy that they share together, and whether that's flowing very freely in a way that's considered more easeful or whether it is a little bit more challenging,
Mhm.
right? Like you can kind of think about it like more challenging aspects are kind of like when you just butt heads with someone, maybe
Mhm.
because you're so similar, they have a same energy. Like an opposition
Mhm.
or a square is going to be the same modality, right?
Okay.
So they're the same. And
Mhm.
because of that, they kind of have this energy of like butting heads or T-boning each
That's
other.
why I'm so attracted to fixed signs because I need some fixed energy in my life because I don't have a lot of it.
Yeah, well, you do actually. You have a lot of fixed energy because you're,
Yeah, you know what I mean, though. It's like
yeah, no, you have,
I have a type.
yeah, I feel like you attract a lot of cardinal energy.
Yeah, that's okay. So yeah, that's
Yeah. It like helps move you forward
hmm
because you're
hmm
fixed. So we naturally do that. We're naturally drawn to
hmm
people who balance out the energy in our own chart, which is always fascinating to me to
hmm
see. But so when we look at a chart, that's kind of those are the basics of what we're looking at. We're looking at the whole zodiac. We're
hmm
looking at the angles of the chart that form the bones of the structure.
hmm
Set up then the houses, which are these pie slices of different areas of life and the themes of life. And then we're looking at the planets in the signs in those houses and how they're communicating to one another.
hmm
That's the basics of a chart. And it's super complicated, and just understanding all of that can take years and years of study.
hmm
So it can feel very overwhelming when you're
How
first
would how
astrology.
would you suggest, like, if somebody, they're astrology curious or astro curious, and it does feel overwhelming. Like I've kind of come to the conclusion that my brain will never understand it the same way yours does.
It's not that your
It
thing.
I've tried, I've read books, but my brain doesn't like math, which is it just won't.
Yeah.
So
And
for
that's
me, the tarot aspect of it really helps.
that's what I was going to say. There are different
Mm-hmm.
ways to view astrology or to kind of get, you know, put your toe into it
hmm
to understand more fully. Here are some things I could think
hmm
about right off the top of my head. Like one of them would be obviously to get a reading with a professional astrologer so that you don't have to spend years and years studying it. Someone can explain your chart to you.
Yeah.
That's what people like me are for, right? That's one way. Another way is to really pay attention to the seasons, to know what
hmm
season we're in, right? We're in Virgo season right now. We're
hmm
getting ready to transition into Libra season. Pay attention
hmm
to what's happening, especially in the, you know, northern hemisphere, the northeast, where seasons are very defined, but it doesn't matter where you live. You can still notice the change of seasons and what that astrological season, what is reflected back to you from nature, because that's what this is all based on,
Right.
right? Like the Aries initiates the start of spring,
hmm
cardinal sign that brings in the season. And then we move to Taurus, which is the
hmm
fixed part of spring, where everything
Yeah.
starts to bloom, where it's very
hmm
clear that we are in spring. This is what it
hmm
is. Gemini season comes in and ends spring and
hmm
transitions us into summer. So that's how we can understand cardinal, fixed, and mutable signs. Cardinal
hmm
is always going to start a season, fixed is always going to be the peak of the season. It is what
hmm
it is. And mutable is always going to be that letting go and that transitory transition energy
hmm
that lets go of what has been to prepare for what is now coming. So you can just by thinking about the seasons and the elements, you can
hmm
understand so much about astrology, the fire,
Right.
earth, air, water. And then
hmm
if you can understand cardinal, fixed, and mutable
hmm
energy, like you've got a grasp of the zodiac. and then it's just learning the planets and
Hmm.
what they do is like a separate piece. But
Hmm.
that would be how I would say to start to think about astrology. That's a really solid foundation for anything else you're going to learn. And then the third thing is that if you are a tarot person, which
Hmm.
most people probably are watching
Hmm.
this,
Yeah.
this this sticker that
Uh-huh.
brings in your chart is a great tool to begin to learn about astrology and about your personal astrology to begin with. And how would you do that? So the first step would be that you buy the sticker and you get this chart cast
Hmm.
for you,
Hmm.
which would look like this.
Hmm.
So this is my chart. And you'll
It would
see,
be too difficult for me to try and do
yeah. And it's
the
really
night and day
not
thing.
necessary. That's
Yeah.
just to wrap your brain around.
Hmm.
Like, this is a night chart because look, I was born close to midnight. Here
Yeah.
would be midnight. At the
Hmm.
bottom of this is the very bottom of my chart where the
Yeah.
IC is, right there at the
Right.
beginning of Taurus.
Hmm.
So I'm born
The,
very close to midnight. See, the sun is,
hmm.
this was 11, 27 p.m. So
Hmm.
the sun is almost at where midnight is. So I
The
was,
reason mine are opposite was I was born on a full moon.
yeah, but you were
Yeah.
still born during the day when the sun hadn't set.
Right. But it was still like that was like because your chart is like this, like your ascendant's here and then your sun is here. So it's like, like I like my chart, it looks almost like they're just across from each other. So it doesn't change the sun for visually for me, my brain's going, oh well the sun is on the opposite. It's like
But you have to look at it where it is above the horizon. And some
hmm.
charts are difficult to tell. You can
Hmm.
always reach out to me and I can help you figure out if you were born at night or during the day.
Hmm.
But
So
so
like if somebody's sun was right like
right
between on you, yeah, it would
You're going to
be
know that just by the time you were born. If you were
yeah,
born at like 5:50 something in the morning when the sun is coming up, like you
yeah,
just have to use your brain to think
right.
logically about it. If you're born at 10 at night, you have a
You're a
night
night
chart.
chart.
You were
Yeah.
born at night. Like it's not that hard. It just your brain can kind of make it more complicated by trying to figure it out with your chart.
Yeah.
You can use the time of day to we can do this. We can figure it out.
Oh
It's
no, math.
4 p.m. It's daytime. You got a day chart. So,
Love it. I love it.
so with the casting sticker,
Mm-hmm.
all of the tarot cards that correspond with the different zodiac signs are laid out for you in the appropriate houses.
Mm-hmm.
So, if like me, if we're looking at my chart right now, my rising is in Capricorn. So, the
Mm-hmm.
devil card corresponds with the sign of Capricorn. So, there is the first house. So, I can automatically start to think I can use my knowledge of tarot to say, okay, the first house is me and how I see the world, right? And how people see me.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean when that's through the lens of the devil card?
Right.
I know
Right.
about the devil card. And
Right.
how does that align with the
Now,
week?
what if somebody who's just starting out in tarot and then they get this because they're curious and they go, oh, and this is where we come back to there's no bad signs, there's no bad charts, there's no bad cards. Like if you look at the devil card, some people might be like, whoa, and it's like to me that's one of my favorite cards of the deck.
Yeah,
When it comes
totally.
up in a reading, I'm never like, oh, this. I'm like, that's like all the hard lessons maybe that I've learned in life. And I always think of the song that's like the devil is a friend, So like I don't know. I just think about like clock your energy when you're going, ugh,
Yeah, oh, totally. There's
yeah,
always those cards
yeah,
that are going to trigger us in that way. There's cards that, like my daughter, Ani, who's 6 and loves tarot cards, every time I have a different deck out, she's like, where are the scary cards in this one? Which to her are the devil and death. Like
yeah,
consistently, she's like, this one's scary and this one's scary. And almost, I have a couple decks that aren't. She's like, oh, there's no scary cards in this. But
yeah.
but yeah, even at this very young age, there are cards in the tarot that are meant to be visually jarring. And that
Mhm.
doesn't mean that they are negative or bad cards
Right.
because there is a light and a darkness to each card, just like
Mhm.
there's a light and a darkness to every planet, just like there is a light and a darkness to us. Like we
Yes.
are, duality is everywhere. This is what happens when prana comes into the universe. It splits into yin and yang.
Yes.
So
Yes.
remembering right off the jump in your tarot journey that even the sun card that looks really
Mhm.
positive has a shadow aspect to it.
I
And
get burnt in the sun a
oh
lot.
my God, I love that.
Yeah.
That's such a good keyword.
Well, have you seen me? I mean, yeah, I have a lot of tattoos, but I get burned easily.
Yeah, you do.
The sun is, it's like I look at it and I'm like, also, so to me, I like the devil card. The sun card, I'm like, ah, there's that naked baby. I'm not a baby person.
You're so
Like the
not.
sun card is not a good card for me. And I'm like, and then I have to like refer to my codex of being like, oh, it's supposed to be a happy day, or oh, it's, and I'm like, look at that brick wall.
Like, oh my God, get that kid out of here.
What's wrong with me? Don't answer that.
Nothing, nothing. Listen, children are not for everyone. That's fine.
No.
But so just remembering that
Yeah.
and kind of like exploring, what that means. I will say that there are a lot of people out there who don't agree with the astrological associations
Hmm.
that are in the majors. And that may be something that you discover that like it just
Yeah.
doesn't jive for you. But I think it's worth learning and exploring and coming to your own conclusion on because, that's just a really important thing to do with your relationship with tarot anyway.
I want to bring it back to something you said a little bit before, where there's systems, right? So astrology is a lot older than tarot, right? But they do have common elements, like, and the elements are the common theme too. So it's like in tarot we have earth, air, fire, water, and spirit. In
Mhm.
astrology we have earth, air, fire, water, and then I guess like our being here in the cosmos is the spirit aspect of it. So it's like they do have
Oh, there's so much
overlap.
crossover. There's so
There's
much.
so much,
It's
so
fantastic. It's such a great, I
mhm,
love it. I mean, that's
yeah.
basically what I think about all day, every day.
Erin and I
So,
text all day. Did you think of this?
so the seriously. But so here's what I would do if I was learning tarot or astrology, if I was curious about those things and wanted to experiment with the systems with
Mhm,
this sticker.
mhm,
I would then take my tarot deck and I would pull out, because you take the 22 majors
mhm,
and 12 of them are the zodiac signs. And
mhm,
12 of them are already here on your chart. You don't need to pull those out. They're already
right.
right there. Like you can do this without the casting sticker too. This is
Mhm,
an exercise that can be done that way. However, this is such a great visual tool to
mhm,
see and understand it that like why not
right.
not have that extra added piece, that layer. But I would pull out the other 10 cards that are
Mhm,
the planets. So the moon would be the high priestess,
mhm,
Mercury is the magician, the sun is the sun, Mars is the tower, Saturn is the world,
mhm.
Pluto is
Judgment.
judgment, Jupiter is the wheel of fortune, Neptune is the hanged one,
Mhm,
Uranus
mhm,
is the fool,
mhm,
right? So I'm pulling those out and then I'm laying them on the different, like next to. So for me, with the first house in
mhm,
Capricorn, I've got the devil card already there, and there's my moon.
mhm,
So I'm going to take out the high priestess, I'm going to
mhm,
put it there, and then I'm just going to sit with that. And I'm going to be
mhm,
like, what does it mean to have the high priestess in the house of the devil card?
mhm.
What
Now,
does
is she house sitting or is she
no,
a
that's where she,
visitor? No,
oh,
but you know what I mean? Like, are
yeah.
they joined together? These are things that you might question,
Well,
like
what you
house
would kind of
sitting.
think is she comfortable there?
Right, right.
Like
I think she would
astrologically,
be.
no, the moon is
Yeah.
in detriment in Capricorn
Okay.
because she's not like, and that's not to say it's a bad thing. I love having a
Right,
Capricorn
right.
moon, and I mean, it's very much a part of who
Mhm.
I am. And like, it's still very highly intuitive
Right.
placement. But like having that visual of the high
Mhm.
priestess in the house of the devil it speaks to me on a soul level because that's how
Right.
I have my moon in Capricorn. Like
Right.
it's already an innate part of me. So just by
Right.
doing this exercise intuitively, you will probably find that you feel aligned. Like for you, you have the high priestess in the
Mhm.
death card.
Yeah.
Like how does that feel when
So you
you
know what? It's as you're talking and like discussing these, like this is the house that they're in, right? And this is a house that the high priestess has been in, my death house, like since I was born, as well with your devil. It literally makes me think of the Norns or the three, the Hecate, like the three,
yeah,
like
like the
they're
mother
they're
moon card.
chaos, they're creation, they
Oh,
know
those.
all, they're not
Yeah.
afraid of being the destroyers as well as the creators. Like it's kind of like when I say that the high priestess would be comfortable in those houses, it's because they intuitively already know.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
they're two sides of the same coin, I guess, is kind of how my brain is like, oh, like yes,
But
she's all knowing, but she's also like, you
but it's
know,
going to be a different vibe than if you were to put the high priestess in the
mhm,
house of the chariot,
right,
right? Where
right,
the moon is at home.
hmm
And the chariot can carry forth that
hmm
energy of the high priestess. Like
hmm
there's just a different, it's a
hmm
vibe, it's an energy.
right.
So, and if you
There's
do
going to be different conversations that are going to
that are
happen.
going to be had, there's just a different, it's just a different energy.
Hmm
And so if you were to do this, like I always go back to my Gemini Mercury. Like, so if I pull out the magician and put it in
hmm
the house of the lovers, I'm like, this
hmm
is what it's like, feels like to be in my brain. This is the Gemini brain. Like, you could just sit and meditate on what those, without knowing anything about astrology, and just
Right,
like, okay, these two cards together, how does that intuitively feel to me?
right.
Because it's going to, if you're lining it up with your
hmm
chart, it is an energy within you.
Whereas my magician is in the house of the Hierophant.
Yes.
So it's like I might think certain things, but there's going to be a filter on how I approach it because of the structures that I follow and like I'm a
Yeah.
rule follower. Whereas
Yes.
like we laugh because you have no filter. And then you're like, maybe I shouldn't have said that.
But we both have the moon in the first house, which means we have no
Right.
poker face. I just can't shut up, and you can
Yeah.
pull it back. So,
It's just a really fun way of
oh,
approaching like a beginning stages of working with your chart, especially if you are tarot fluent at all, or not even like there's guidebooks,
yeah,
like just
just like
just pull
read
them
the
out and
entries.
play.
Read the
Yeah.
entries. What does it say?
Mhm.
What's your guidebook say about the high priestess? What's it say about
Mhm.
the devil? And then like, how does
And then
that
also trust
feel
what
to
you
you?
hear,
Yeah.
you know.
Or see
hmm
or feel
hmm
when you're, so this could be kind of like a meditation type of
hmm
approach,
hmm
right? Where you are kind of taking like your codex and your
hmm
understanding of the cards and blending them together. You could almost be like, what do these two cards mean to me in like a reading, right?
Right.
Like what if I
Right.
pulled these two cards, like what is that kind of what message am I getting from
And
that?
if you do end up getting a sticker, like I swear this isn't a pitch, but we're just, we're talking about the sticker. So I do send tarot in the houses, and in that there is a breakdown of the houses of like house one being self with identity, persona, and stuff like that. So like if you wanted to take it one house at a time and then pull in those other cards and be like, how is the high priestess and the devil coming through my persona, my identity, my outlook on life, the major themes, like what might they have to say?
Exactly.
Good at
And
exercise.
so those things, there's so much more you can do with this layered on. And our first video, we talked a lot more about that, about the breakdown of the decans and understanding then which decan your planet is in and which tarot card. So then you can add on that third card,
That'll
right?
be later. We'll go deeper
You
into that in another
can go
video.
deeper with that
Yeah.
and then understanding then those three
Mhm.
cards in the astrological house, what does that
Mhm.
have to say? And then you could take it even further and say, okay, and they're in trine with these three
Right.
cards. They have a strong communication. So there's a lot more you can layer on
Mhm.
with this type of exercise. I would just start with pulling out
Mhm.
those 10 cards of your planets and then placing them
Mhm.
with the card of the
Yep.
sign and understanding that energy, right? Or like Jamie said in the very beginning, you could just do a reading for an elemental reading
Mhm.
where you're just using the casting sticker and your chart as that stage that set that
Mhm.
background that trust me, you will absorb. Okay, this is kind of weird, but like I
It's not weird.
so when I work with astrology clients, if somebody
Mhm.
wants to book a reading with me, I'm never going to be like, you can book your reading tomorrow because one, I need more time to prep. I spend a lot of
Mhm.
time with the chart before I
Right.
even sit down with my client to give the reading. But two, because I'm always, always, always going to just look at the chart and sleep on it
Mhm.
because you get something from just taking in the
Yeah.
visual. I mean, it's a thing. It's a thing.
It's
So
it's just our subconscious mind making sense of things. Like you don't have to
absorb the
know how
energy.
it works. It just works, you know?
Yes. So it's just, I would kind of advise that
Mhm.
this be a real exercise in how to like meditate on the
Mhm.
energy of your birth chart through the lens of the tarot,
Yeah.
which is freaking cool. You know,
It's really fun.
I
Be
think it's
careful,
cool.
you might get addicted.
You will.
You're definitely addicted. Definitely. Yeah.
So do you feel like there's anything, as someone who doesn't speak astrology,
I
do
feel
you,
like if somebody's watching this video, they are curious about astrology and also tarot, or else why would they be watching it?
but
So
do you personally feel like there's anything that you're still kind of like questioning or I didn't explain fully? Like I just want people to leave with an understanding of what they're looking at and kind
I
of
think
how to start to play with it.
I think like this is the start of the beginner series was a perfect summation. And obviously, if you have questions, put them in the comments so that we can address them in the next video.
Yes.
Um, Erin and I will discuss what that one's going to be like figure out where we go from here. But obviously, if you're stumped, please let us know because I've been studying tarot, like deep dive studying it for almost 10 years at this point, but it's been in my life since the early 2000s, but I've been like on this very intense journey. Like I shared my updated codex with Jenna yesterday, and she was like, I wish my brain would do that. I was like, this is 10 years worth of note taking. Like this isn't all at once.
Yeah.
And you've been studying astrology and tarot just as, so it's like sometimes we forget. So obviously, if there's something that we need to dumb it down or not even dumb, if we need to take it into more digestible pieces, please let us know so that we can make another video and address it.
Yeah, for sure. And then we will start to talk a little bit more in depth about the houses
Mm-hmm.
and what those mean astrologically and kind of give some more context to how to interpret your chart that way.
Yeah,
Yay.
but this is so fun. I love it.
All right. Yay. All right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you, Jamie, for I love this collaboration. It's just so great to be able to blend these two systems that I just
Mm-hmm.
am so passionate about together.
Yeah,
So thank
same.
you, and thank you to everyone who tuned in for this.
Mhm.
And please let us know if you have any questions.
Yeah, be sure to like and subscribe to our channel,
Yes.
and tell your friends.
Where can people find you?
People can find me at Jamie Sawyer 336, one word on Instagram and on YouTube, and that's also my website, where you can purchase said sticker. If you are finding me through Etsy, this is not on Etsy. I don't have my full thing there. Always go to my website. You're gonna get access to more. So,
And then people can find me on YouTube and Instagram at The Witch of Saturn. My
mhm,
website is erinlento.com. So if you want to book a reading or have any questions, you can always reach out to me
mhm.
there. And follow for more astrology and tarot content.
And the links, of course, will be in the show notes, so you don't got to remember it all.
All right. Fantastic. Thanks so
See you
much.
next time. Bye.
Bye.